Hello, hello! This is your friendly neighborhood Mahjong player from Poland, Krabman. And today, I'm gonna do a log review. This is the first full video log review I've done, I think. So this is kind of a new thing for me. More used to writing Mahjong articles, which is so much easier. But it's a fun thing to do and something I've wanted to do for a while now. And now I have some more spare time, and here it is. Before I start the review, I want to let you know that if someone doesn't know me, I want to let you know that I am a mid Tokujo player. So I will be I'm planning to make it a series, a video series. So I will only be doing reviews of players who are lower rated than me. So mostly Ippan, Jokyu players, so beginners, maybe some Tokujo newbies. But I'm not gonna review logs of people who are roughly at my level, because I won't be able to contribute much to them, I think. So because of that, why am I letting you know about this is because being a mid Tokujo player means that I have a long way to go to strong playing. I have a lot to learn. My understanding of Mahjong is still lacking. So that's why there will be, even in these games, there will be a lot of places where I'm not sure what to do, what's the best move. But based on my current understanding of the game, on my knowledge, experience, I will try to at least lay out the options, the possible options, and give a few advantages and disadvantages of each move. But sometimes I won't be able to say what is best, but only what I would do. I will only share what I would do. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. And yeah, and you're gonna be good. And if anyone stronger than me or around my level watches this, or even if anyone lower rated is watching, but you notice something that I miss, it's always bound to happen. Something that escapes your attention, something that I miss, some bullshit that I spread, some bad advice that I give. Feel free to let me know. It will help me grow as a player as well. So that's it for the intro. The player I'm reviewing today is Casper from our club. He's not a newbie player. He has played on and off for around 5 years, I think. Now he's back to Tenho, back to Mahjong. And yeah, he sent me one log. It's not an average game, because you will later see that he managed to get an abnormal point advantage, which obviously makes the game much easier. But nevertheless, it's still worth reviewing. So here we go. I'll try to provide some useful tips for beginners. Yeah, that's it. Let's go. This is the only time I'm recording this intro, other than just saying hello. Every other video, every follow-up video will only be straight to the point. Okay, so for all players who might be interested in this, what you have to do before you even start discarding is obviously check your wind. So you have to know which wind you are. So in this case, we are the west wind, Sha, which has been dropped twice, unfortunately, and the Dora indicator. And especially if it's an honor tile, you have to be aware of it. Or if it's if the Dora indicator is 8, so the Dora is 9, or 9 and the Dora is 1, terminal tiles like to go first. We like to drop them early in the hand, so be careful not to drop these by accident. So in this case, Dora is south, and we have south. That's good. And the next thing, and this all happens within minutes, within seconds for intermediate players. This happens within just milliseconds. You just take a look at your hand, and you immediately see what it's made of, and what are the potential routes it can take, and what's the offensive potential of the hand. So first thing is to obviously count how many blocks this this is touched upon in Ricci Book 1, the Holy Grail of Western Mahjong players, which I recommend. If you're not familiar with it, you have to familiarize yourself with it. You're going to learn a lot of stuff from it. So be sure to get yourself Ricci Book 1. It's for free. Can you imagine? It's for free. The Holy Grail of Western players, the Bible of strategy for beginners is for free. So make sure to donate some money to the author, Daina Chiba. Thank you, Daina, for making the book again. So you have to count the blocks. If you don't know how to count blocks, if it's not your habit, you're not gonna get far, I believe. So after a while it becomes instantaneous. It's in your veins, and you just do it habitually. You take, like I said, you take a short glance and bam, you see the blocks, you visualize them. But it takes some practice, it takes some getting used to. So be sure to count your blocks. And now here comes the important part. So there are three stages in the Mahjong hand. They are related to the rows of discards in the discard pawn. So we are in the first row, so this is the first stage, but they're not directly corresponding to each other. So what I call the opening, and this is a term borrowed from chess because I think it's a great place to borrow from, because they have a well-established terminology list, and you can use some of that in Mahjong, just like as we did with poker. We have the dealer, deal-in, so these words are useful. We don't have to make up new stuff. So I call it an opening, and some people will argue that opening is until you've cleaned up your hand of all the useless honors and terminals, but I keep it simple. Hand opening is for as long as you are under 5 blocks. So the moment you get your 5th block, even if your blocks suck, even if they're bad shape, you're out of the opening. You're in the middle game. So your decisions have to be different. So you have to see if there are 5 blocks or less. You don't have to bother too much with counting shanten. Obviously, it's a useful skill to learn. You're gonna need it not to get lost, especially in the crucial stages of a hand, and in push-pull situations. You have to know your shanten, but it also becomes instinctive after a while, but it takes some practice and getting used to. You have to mindfully practice that element. So it's better to just be aware of how many blocks you have. And as soon as you have 5 blocks, the hand is not higher than 3 shanten, if you have a pair, of course. So whenever you don't have 5 blocks yet, you're higher than that. Usually. It's not always the case, but usually. So don't bother with shanten at this stage. Just count the blocks and see if it's opening, or maybe some hands don't have the opening. They go straight to the so-called mid-game. Also borrowed from chess, but not only. So this hand doesn't have 5 blocks yet. We're 1 block down, so it's in the opening phase. And in the opening phase, the typical decisions are usually there are very few things that can be put in absolute terms in Mahjong. So I'm gonna use a lot words like sometimes, usually, often, typically, on average, such expressions. Okay, so yeah, usually it's an issue of lonely tiles versus lonely ukipai. So lonely tile, floating tile is an ukipai. I'm gonna use the Japanese term because I like it more, ukipai. So you have to know what ukipai you have and how good they are. You have to be able to compare the ukipai. And usually the weakest ukipai, the weakest lone tiles are the honor tiles, because they're much less flexible, because they don't create sequences, they don't make sequences, so you can only connect them for triplets. And in this case, obviously, yakuhai win. Yakuhai give you value. You can call yakuhai, so yakuhai are usually better than, as I call it, wild honors that aren't your wind or aren't the round wind. So in this case, Sha would be the most valuable to us and the Dora, but in this case, Sha is pretty much useless. So that's what I would cut. And the way I'm gonna do this review and all my future reviews is kind of inspired by Jiu-kun. I'm gonna give his channel in the description below. And Jiu-kun is a very super top, super best top player, super strong player from Japan. He's 8 dan, 9 dan, very high ho level, and he makes his reviews in a beautiful way, and that is he just plays the logs. He doesn't see he doesn't look what the player did and comments on that. He gives his own answers, his own reasoning before he sees the discard. So that means his analysis aren't influenced by hindsight bias. And you know, anyone can be smart in hindsight. If we see what happened, I told you should have done that. But the crux of the analysis is providing your judgment beforehand. So just as if you were playing the game yourself. So this is what I'm gonna do. But obviously I'm no match for Jiu-kun, but I'm gonna give it my best. So here Xia seems like the obvious choice. No discussion. Now we draw 2 man, and this is interesting. So our hand has, you quickly notice that our hand has 3 pairs. And this is an important thing because a lot of people, as soon as they see 3 pairs, they think, oh, chitoi toi toi. That's the only thing they see. But 3 pairs, what I think when I see 3 pairs is, oh, my efficiency hurts. My efficiency is hurting. Because obviously pairs are not as good as double-sided weights. So in this case, these are lone pairs. They have no connected tiles. So this is actually chitoi material, but let's not decide chitoi on the spot. It's something that we have to be just aware of, that it can go towards chitoi. Let's leave toi toi for now. This is not. It doesn't look like a toi toi hand at all. Yeah. So what to cut? What to cut? So the thing is, if our hand has a bad shape, but this is considered bad shape. Like I said, 3 pairs with no connecting tiles. This is bad shape. So we have to somehow think of building value or speed. Because if our hand is cheap, we have to make it fast to kill other opponents' opportunities to make bigger hands and attack us. And we can also make it more valuable, so at least we can push with it when things get hot. So we have to look for either value or speed. So what gives speed? Well, speed is usually attained by Yakuhai or Tanyao. This is usually the direction of speed. In this case, both are far away. We don't have any paired Yakuhai, and the only Yakuhai left is Chun, really. So Nan is the Dora, Southwind is Dora, but it's not particularly useful as far as opening goes. It's mostly useful for chitoi now, which is one of the directions I mentioned. So how to build value? And if you think closely, if you think really hard, you might notice a chance for, at least that's what I see, is a chance for Sanshoku. So 3-pin, the Ukipai 3-pin is very valuable. So these are the ways we can make speed or value here. So we can maybe switch later to Tanyao if we draw good tiles to Tanyao. We are far away from that now. Or maybe this Sanshoku thing with 3-pin. So 3-pin is much more important than 7-pin at this point, I would say. Or Yakuhai, but lone Yakuhai versus lone Ukipai in the middle of the suit, Yakuhai will very rarely win, if at all. So I would discard Chun here. Okay, now the Sozu develops, the bamboo shape develops, but we have an issue now. So look at the hand now. We have 3 blocks in Manzu, 2 blocks in Sozu. So we have 5 blocks. We are post opening now. But should we keep the Ukipai? I would say yes. Because even though we have 5 blocks, like I said, our shape is really bad. We have 3 unconnected tiles, pairs. We have Penchan. Very bad. But at least it gives us this Sanshoku thing. So I wouldn't drop the Dora just yet. because this is our ticket to value and chitoi, and decent chitoi. And I think I would keep the chance for Sanshoku here. So that means I'm not gonna drop Wanso because it fits Sanshoku. Even though the Ukeire here, the tile acceptance is overlapping, because the 2 and 4 and 1, 2, they share a common tile, so this is 3-so. They both get completed by 3-so. So this is an issue. This is a slight issue. And so yeah, my recommended drop. So if you follow efficiency, I think you would go for Wanso here, just to remove this overlapping tile. And this is a step towards Tanyao. This will leave you, if there's no Wanso, you have 2 blocks in Sozu, 2 Tanyao blocks in Sozu, 2 Tanyao blocks in Manzu, and you only need 1 Tanyao block in Pinzu. So Wanso, I guess, would be the suggested discard as far as efficiency and flexibility goes. But I'm kind of tempted by 7-pin too. I'm aware that it can create a Ryanman with 6 and 8. It's good for Tanyao. But we might as well maybe drop 4-so just to keep the Sanshoku alive instead of this 7-pin is I think it's a better connector here. So these are the tiles I would consider. So 1-so, 4-so. This is a strong move towards Sanshoku, but it loses Tanyao. So I would say 1-so, 7-pin would be the tiles that I would consider here. 1-so, 7-pin to keep both Sanshoku and Tanyao in the Sozu shape. That's kind of my take on it. Okay, 1-so. Alright, this is a great draw. Oh, such a great draw. So now we have 5. We have one of the things that I mentioned. We have 5 blocks for Tanyao. They're not good blocks. We have unconnected pairs and the Kanchan, but we're much more flexible doing Tanyao. And we also have 4 pairs. So it's very important to keep both Chitoi and Tanyao alive. So 3-pin, 7-pin is really good for Tanyao. Dora is only good for Chitoi. 1 has been dropped, but I don't think I would touch the Dora. Don't touch the Dora yet. That's my suggestion. So I would actually go with 1-man. I don't want to lose the Ukeire around 3-pin, 7-pin. I want to just give up the Penchan with a pair. And start calling as soon as possible. That's what I would do. It's a cheap hand, but it prevents others from doing anything. So I think that's a good deal. Okay, so this is to my knowledge, this is a pawn. Okay. This is another pawn, but doesn't matter now. This is another pawn. Okay, but yeah, this is a crucial decision, I think, to call this towards Tanyao. Okay, so we stayed closed, but still the best option is Tanyao, and it has to be open. And now we kind of have to remove the Dora. It's too much of a burden, I think. Remember that 3 and 7 can give Ryanman, and this is important, and not to kill the Chitoi thing. Okay, so this is kind of a big mistake. This is a big mistake. So I would suggest the Dora here already, but my hand would be open by now. So we also don't want this Kanchan.
Oh.
Okay, this is a bit too late, but okay, this is straightforward. As you can see, this was opened a bit too late. And okay, we have another shot at Ryanman. We don't want it. Why? Because we probably want Toy Toy. Toy Toy is one of beginners' favorite, but just giving up Ryanman like this when you have a floating 6 so is no good. And Toy Toy loses the 5-so, Akadora 5-so. And whenever the Dora is not possible to connect to Toy Toy, when you have a lonely Dora, when you want to call the 6-so and get rid of the Dora, typically we don't do that. We don't do that. Okay, unfortunately it works out. So the player might have a hard time telling this, finding this mistake, because the wall is cooperating. The wall gave the best tile, 6-so. Now we're shanting to Toy Toy, but like I said, this is the wrong course for this hand. So a lot of stuff will just be a result of a mistake, of a previous mistake. And this is what makes judgment very difficult, especially for beginners who are left to their own devices. They don't have any stronger players around them. They don't belong to any community. They don't have a coach or anything. It's really, really hard. It's really hard. It's really misleading to navigate your way. It's very difficult challenging to navigate your way around this variance of Mahjong, and bad luck, good luck, all those terms. It's all a huge maze that's you can easily get lost in it. So now we definitely have to be conscious of Kamicha. Yakuhai Toy Toy is no good, and they likely have 40 Fu, which will be 5,200. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe 6-so is discardable. I guess 7-so, 5-so is Suji against them, but I'm not sure if I would bet on it. But Kanchan is dead, right? Kanchan is dead. But 5-so Shampon 5-so is a huge risk. Wow, there comes Ricci. Oh, I wasn't expecting that call. Let's see. So before we call, we have to quickly estimate the dealing rate of 5-so because it's a red tile. We don't want to feed a Dora for free to other players, and our hand is only Tanya or Toy Toy. So it will be 2,000 only with the Ricci stick, 3,000. So it's not a monster hand to just push without thinking. So we have to know the dealing rate of 5-so, and we can notice how to quickly estimate that. Well, first, it's not Genbu, obviously. So we look if it's Suji. We see it's a half Suji, no 5/8 weight. And we know it also because of the 6-so being dead. But we have to check the other side, so the 2/5 weight. And here we see, so we have to count the neighbors of 5-so. So we have to count the 4s and the 3s. And we see that there are 3 4s floating around and 2 3s. But since the 3 was discarded just before Ricci, it was the last, penultimate tile discarded from the hand, I'm not so sure. So the possibility of 2/5 weight exists. There is no 4/6 Kanchan. There is but there's Shampon and Ryanmen. I wouldn't go for that. We can use 3-pin as a safe tile, and this is really the biggest problem is the value of the hand. The weight's bad, only 3 tiles, 1/8 man we missed, and it's only 2,000. It's only 2,000. That's really not that good with a bad weight. So this is a pass for me. This is a iron pass for me. Maybe if we had slightly safer tile to drop, and see if a beginner plays like that and they see that the 5-so pass, they think it's probably a good decision because it passed. It's based on the result. It's hindsight. I am Tenpai for Tanya or Toy Toy. Oh, what was I saying? This is a 3.9. 3.9, so it's slightly better. 3.9, but the problem is this 5-so. So beginner is just swayed by the results, and they're gonna think it was a good decision, which I don't think it was. And they won, which is even worse. Yeah, 3.9 and Ricci stick. Yeah, so good one, I guess. Good job for winning, but yeah, I think it was a mistake to push. Okay, another hand in its opening stage. And Oya already calls. So that means he's probably damn fast, and we don't even have 5 blocks, so we have to be aware of that. Okay, now again, the way to look at it, obviously we check the Dora, 2 pin, we have 1 Dora, good, we have 1 Dora. Our hand is really bad, our shape is really bad, it doesn't have high potential, so we have to look for speed or value. Like I said, value is obtained through Yaku and Dora, and this is easy, but speed is Yakuhai or Tanyao. Usually, not always, like I said, there's rarely and always in Mahjong, but usually it's through Tanyao. So we can drop Yakuhai. So we should drop 1 man 9 saw. So I think dropping Yakuhai is not serving the hand too much. The player drew a Penchan and they might think it was a good decision. The weight here overlaps, so the Penchan is basically useless. Good. 3 man. Okay, 3 man. So we can call. So there's Oya. They look kinda dangerous. I have no idea what they might have there. One important thing is that there's no Dabuton for them, double east. And they might have Toi, they might have Honitsu, some crazy Chinitsu, although they didn't call the 4-man. But Honitsu is to be expected with Haku, for example, or Sha. Yeah, they're all alive. But we can call for Ishanten. This is very interesting, and I can already see that it's not a situation I will be able to judge correctly, as a strong player would do. But so we can call. We get Ishanten with a bad shape for Tanyao, Sanshoku, Dora. This is 3.9, not bad. Yeah, and I would call this probably. I would most likely call this and drop 1 man. Okay, pass. Oh, we dropped the Dora. We didn't look at the Dora indicator. Very bad, very bad. Look at the Dora indicator, discard 1 man. 1 man. Yeah, we have 3 pairs, but we can keep those 3 pairs because we still have the hanging 1 man. 1 man. Here again we can pawn for Ishanten, but it's not a guaranteed Tanyao. Even though the 9 man is almost dead, so the risk of Furiten is limited. So maybe we could call this now. But it's only Tanyao, no Dora, no Sanshoku, so yeah, rather not. Haku is a life tile, wouldn't drop it. Pardon me for seeing the result first, the discard first, but Haku is definitely something you want to keep. Because your hand is slow, you're definitely, I will just check, but I think Oya is Ishanten Tenpai. They can't be slower, although it's Ipan, so anything goes. Okay, they 2 away from ready. Well, that's uncommon, and they drop 3. Okay, that's why you don't really analyze other players' discards, because it's bollocks, it's bullshit, it's total bullshit. But just looking at the board, I don't drop this Haku. Don't feed Kamicha, who's below you. You have some point advantage. Just start playing safe. That's what I would advise with the Sozu tiles. With 1 man is not really safe at this point. Yeah, just play safe. So 2 saw, 6 saw, 7 saw are good discards. Just play safe. 1 pin around the Dora, not the best choice. But I'm talking here about safety mode, or I guess it could be called even defense at this point. Because we have to defend against Oya. And this is a skill that's not really required from or expected from beginners, because they recognize danger when it's maybe Dora Pawn or Richi, but against cold hands, yeah, it's not that stage. They often ignore open hands, honitsus and whatnot. They just chase blindly after their own hand. And see, the player got to Ishanten on their own, but yeah, it was all, most of the discards were actually off. Yeah, another Dora, but at least it's safe. 9-pin safe. Oh, we even got to Tenpai somehow. Yeah, but generally, so we have to be aware of how much luck and skill was involved. So in this case, it was quite a bit of luck that we got to Tenpai in the end. But the hand was misplayed, yeah, from 2-pin on, and even the Yakuhai, it was misplayed, and it's very hard to spot by beginners on their own. So that's why it's better to consult with people on Mahjong Discord or some other type of community if there are, or even at your local Mahjong club, if you have a decent player in it that you know is knowledgeable, ask them. Go ask them, because you will not find everything on your own. And okay, again, this hand is in the opening phase. We can right away see it. So the shape is kind of promising. We have one Dora again, but I wouldn't call this hand particularly amazing. So I would still look for a bit of speed with it. So my first discard is 9-man. And anyone who's read the Ricci book, or anyone who has studied the basics of efficiency themselves, has probably realized that 6 and 9 overlap. So the Suji lone tiles, Suji Ukipai overlap. So 9-man is not really that useful, and it's much better. It's much better to keep the Yakuhai at this point. So again, we have these what might seem as slight mistakes in the opening. Again, opening is not something that should be studied thoroughly by beginners, but stuff like lone terminal tile versus Yakuhai, I think it's something to work on. And again, 9-man is hanging. We are discarding much better Ukipai and hurting our shape. Dabuton backfired. And now the mine, so 3 turns too late, the 9-man goes. That's something to take a note of. Okay, and this is a hand that's very likely to become Kutsuki Shanten. Because we have many complete blocks, but we are still in the opening. That's why I decide the opening stage by the number of blocks, not by the fact if we have cleaned up the hand of the honors or not, because I think that's a better way to do it. So we have 3 blocks ready. We have 2 sets and a pair, but we don't have 5 blocks. So this is Kutsuki Ryan Shanten. So if we connect, if we make the third set here with 4, 7 or 6, we won't have the 5th block. So lonely tiles, Ukipai, are very high value to us, very valuable. We should just go by their flexibility. That's why the 9 was so useless as well, and worse than 8 so, and this 3 so is just golden. It's just golden. I would say that 2-pin is much worse. It doesn't do much. It's in combination. It's Nakabukure, but it's a terminal Nakabukure with the 1. It's not that flexible. It doesn't have 2 Ryanmen. No. So it doesn't do much. Well, it's kind of okay to drop 2-man over it, because 2-pin gives Ipeko. But 3-so, no. We should have to keep 3-so. So when you don't have 5 blocks, when you are in the opening, it doesn't matter what Shanten you have. When you're in the opening, here you only have 2 Shanten, even though you don't have 5 blocks. So this is like an opening. Kutsuki is like an opening Ishanten type thing. Okay. Now, yeah, 2-pin, 2-man, it's a toss-up, but 3-pin is almost dead, so I think 2-pin is better to discard. And now the tiles that give us tempai are 6 pin. They give us, it gives us the tanky weight. Or this, from this Nakabukura we have double Ryanmen, so 4, 6, 7, 8. 4, 6, 7, 8. Good, now we have 5 pin floating tile. So any tile that comes to our hand is a floating tile, even though it's in combination as well. We look at it as a lone tile, so any tile around 5 pin gives tempai. Ooh, perfect draw. Pin Fudora 3. Pin Fudora 3. Pin Fudora 3. So if this is the type of hands that I kind of a little bit struggle with whether to Ricci or not, but because Ricci doesn't directly give us Haneman, we still need to Tsumo or get Uradora. And this is already 12,000. We are in the lead. We want to increase our lead, so let's catch somebody off guard. I don't think if we reach it, I don't think it hurts us much. It's not this type of decision. Kamicha looks quite cheap. We don't want to feed them anyway, because if we lose 3.9, it's like half of our advantage. So we don't want to feed even 3.9. We're not at the stage that we don't care yet. Yeah, so I would say Dama is much better. Just it's Mangan, just Dama. And people will say, well, nobody will discard 4/7 because it's near Dora. Really, can you be sure of that? If their shape develops, they might, especially that we're entering, we're almost halfway through the second row of discards. We're in mid game, so people have their shapes ready, and they will start dropping middle tiles. So who knows? Maybe someone will drop 4-man or 7-man. It's not the Dora itself. These are the tiles around Dora. They're not Dora itself. So we can be sure that no one will drop them. And I think that for sure going Dama increases this chance for someone dropping them. But I don't think Ricci hurts us much in this scenario. I think Ricci is kind of okay. It's even if it's a mistake, I don't think it's a critical mistake. So you have to take also what you need a coach for, someone who is experienced and knowledgeable, is to tell apart critical mistakes from minor mistakes. Because beginners, a lot of time, they tend to focus on the tiniest details, the tiniest judgments, which are unimportant. But until you get to a certain level of competence that you don't make the big mistakes, you shouldn't really pay attention to small mistakes, because you're going to waste a lot of time not improving your playing strength, because you will have those huge mistakes, those bad habits, critical bad habits following you like a shadow in all your games, and eventually they will really hurt your Mahjong. So always go from the biggest mistakes to tiniest mistakes, and it's really hard to tell the difference and to organize the mistakes and systemize them, and without the coach, without some guy. Wow, okay, so this is the Baiman. Yeah, this is the Baiman. Wow. So now the game shifts, totally shifts. We have a very comfortable lead. We have one disconnected player. I wasn't even mentioning that before. But yeah, our lead is now what I would consider very comfortable. So now we need to just focus on ending the game. This is Hanchan. On ending the game. We don't have to really win anymore. We just have to not lose our points, because blowing away big leads is easier than people think. You deal here, you deal in here, you deal in there, Mangan, Haneman, boom, and your lead is gone. So always be on your toes. Okay, we have 4 blocks, so we're in the opening. Now we have flexible middle tiles versus Yakuhai. Maybe in this point situation, Yakuhai is actually more useful to just try to get some speed after drawing it, but I would focus on building a close hand, staying Dama, because we don't need to take Ricci. Okay, so this is what I would do. We are 2 away from ready. Okay, slight improvement. Yes, yes, yes. Overlapping Ukeira of the 4-man. Good, 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 good. I know players who would be tempted by going Tanyao here. So 3 pawn, cut 9-man. But I wouldn't recommend it. Because we're pushing against last place. It's true we have a huge advantage, but that's what I said before. Don't blow it away just by dealing in carelessly. Good, 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 good. Now Triso. Ay. Triso. You have to follow the player to the left because you're in defense mode. Triso. 9-pin. Oh, this is a thing I know. Yeah, this is what I noticed with beginners. They like to discard terminals just because they're terminals. But they forget about this one rearmament that they deal in, and then they forget that they don't want to deal at all. So why risk it? Why risk it? Triso. But the tile passed, and I don't think many beginners will consider that a mistake based on the result. Now Suji.
No.
Oh, that was unexpected. Okay. Oh, another poor disconnect. I wonder if it's in issues with internet connection or maybe they just gave up. It's not sportsmanlike. Don't do that. Don't disconnect. I did that maybe once or twice, but I'm not proud of that, and I don't think it's a good way. It's abusing the fact that it's an online game. And I don't think you can play a game while you're disconnected in this one. You have to wait for it to end. So what's the gain? If you're not... whatever. I'm not going to talk about this. Okay. As you can see, this hand has 5 blocks already. It's past it all. It's opening. But the shape's not ideal. We have Penchan. We have 2 Penchan. And the thing about bad shapes is 1 bad shape is okay. 2 bad shapes are the borderline for good shape. Like decent shape that you can hope to win with quite fast. Because good blocks will usually complete first. Because they have a higher chance of completing first. And you'll be left with the bad blocks. So a really good hand usually has 0 bad blocks or 1 bad block. So 2 bad blocks is the borderline. If you have more than that, it's really bad. And in this case, we also look at the value. Okay, I have a slightly bad shape, more on the bad side, but do I have value? So in this case, no, we don't have value and our shape's kind of bad. So this is bad. But we can develop our shape with the 6-pin. And this is another thing. When you are, please write it down, it's so important. And it's such a simple concept. If you are developing your shape, okay, so you look at the blocks. Oh, I have 5 blocks. I don't need Ukipai. But if you rush to discard 6-pin or Tuso here, you'll make a mistake. Tuso is slightly smaller mistake. 6-pin is a big mistake. Because if you're looking for ways to develop the shape, you have to always be aware of that, even when you have 5 blocks. If they're not flexible blocks, if they're not good blocks, then you have to look for ways to develop your shape. So this 6-pin can connect with 5-pin, and look what's made there. It's a Yonrenke, one of the strongest blocks, like 4-tile combination. This is like the best one. So you don't want to drop your Ukipai too early. I would fix the pair of 8-so. I don't think the drawing 7-so does much. But yeah, 2-so, 9-so are suggested discards. Okay, so 9-so, 1 turn too late. I don't think you need Hatsu if you have 5 blocks. And 2-so is safe against Oya, who's disconnected, but maybe some, yeah, 2-so can be played, definitely. 2-so can be played. Hatsu is, I think, okay. But looking for speed, we're gonna choose 2-so, definitely. 2-so, 2s and 8s aren't that good of Ukipais. They're the on the the weaker side of Ukipai. So Tuso is not a big loss. Not a big loss. So you can keep it over Yakuhai. You can drop it over Yakuhai. Or you can keep Yakuhai over Tuso. I don't think it's a mistake. Okay, Kamicha makes a move for what looks like potential Honitsu, but he might be doing just a quick hand. Don't jump to conclusions. And we drew Dora. Good. Now one Dora makes a huge difference. Remember, write it down, please. One Dora makes a big difference. Because you have 2000 or you have 2600. And this is like this the springboard to higher values, 5-2 or Mangan. So having one Dora makes all the difference. Okay, so now it's looking even more like a Honitsu, and so we have to know what honors are alive, not to deal into that in a stupid way. So as soon as you notice someone doing Honitsu, check for live Yakuhai so that you don't drop them. So Chun is alive. We have to be wary of Chun. And we can Richi. With two disconnected players, it's a no-brainer, but if they weren't disconnected, I'm not sure if I would Richi. I would be probably a bit scared of Shimocha counter-attacking me. So always think when you're in the lead of people counter-attacking you and whether the risk is worth it. It's only a 2.6 hand. It doesn't make a big difference in your in the game situation, and it doesn't increase your lead. Obviously, you can luck out with Ipatsu, Uradora, but we don't consider that. We look at the hand as it is. So it's only Richidora. It doesn't really bring much to the table for you. So, and the weight's bad, only 3 tiles. So with two disconnected players, I think it's okay to just Richi, but if they weren't disconnected, I would be afraid of Shimocha counter-attacking me or Toyman counter-attacking, and I don't want to lose 8 points, 8,000 points, because that's 16,000 points in relation to that player. So yeah, I think it's okay, but only because they're disconnected. Kamicha has to defend. Yeah, you were lucky. Yes, a disconnected player's feed. Okay. Check the Dora. Again, before you discard, check the Dora. Mistakes like that, like overlooking the Dora, shouldn't happen like every once in hundreds of games. I would say, yeah, hundreds of games. If it happens more often than that, you should probably just pay more attention. And I'm talking to myself as well. Yeah. Haku. Hakucha. Yep. The Dorasaki. I would do Dorasaki because I don't need value. But again, I don't think this game is worth reviewing with 2 players being disconnected. But I would do Dorasaki because I don't need it. And if someone pawns, I might try to play around them or just fold. Let's see what happened here. I'm not gonna review a game with 2 disconnects. When did they happen? Like here. So I already talked too much. Here. Okay, I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry about that. Oh, he dealt in. Let's see. Yeah, 2 disconnects. Come on. No, okay. It just doesn't make any sense now. But dealing into Oya was probably not a good idea. Wow, they're pretty damn fast. And this is where we start to fold, honestly. Okay, I'm glad I looked at it. So, yeah, as soon as Oya makes 2 calls like that, even though you have such a big advantage, even though 2 players are disconnected, you're not gonna push too much. So at this point, I would just play it safe-ish at least. So I think maybe 9-man is discardable, but I don't have a problem with 7-man, 5-man. Just giving up. Just give up. Yeah, Ishanten, but really bad Ishanten. And Tupin is dangerous. How did it happen?
No.
Yeah. So things like that shouldn't happen when you have such a bad Ishanten in such a big lead. Because you are feeding Oya, the dealer, and he gets another round. And like I said, blowing away a big lead isn't that hard. It isn't that hard. Yeah, okay, let's drop this game. I hope you enjoyed this analysis. I'm sorry for discussing hands that were against disconnected players, but I think there were some interesting considerations there. Let me know how you like this video. Let me know if I missed something, if I gave bad advice, or just say hello. And yes, see you in the next video, hopefully with a more interesting games. And to all students in the world, please save your teachers, your coaches, the pain of going through logs that are abnormal, such as this one, or that have disconnected players. Even more than that, disconnected players. Please don't send such games, because it doesn't make any sense to analyze the game against one player. But in this case, I'm happy. I'm happy I looked forward, because I was interested in this deal. And another one happened later. Let's take a look actually. Again against Oya, and see how this advantage has slimmed down, has thinned out. Yeah. And here again, Pinzu dangerous. Our hand is, I would say, marginal in this point context. They're probably Tempai now. And Pinzu are dangerous. Don't drop Pinzu. Pinzu are dangerous. Don't drop Pinzu. Don't blow away your lead. Come on.
No.
Okay. This is a well-deserved punishment. You see you have to pay attention to your opponents. Don't only focus on the fact that you have Ishanten with 2 Dora. It doesn't matter, because the scoring situation, the point situation doesn't require you to win. The priority is not to feed Kamicha. This is a well-deserved punishment. But some beginners will call it unlucky and just move on and keep playing like that. So yeah, that's the main issue of getting better in Mahjong. People just, I guess maybe some people don't want to get better. They just go with the flow, and they are either lucky or unlucky. But they usually remember the times they won, and not where they blew up a big lead or dealt in or anything like that. So this is
No.
And see, our lead is gone after only 2 deals into Oya. So this is a great lesson of humility and I guess the awareness of how easy it is to lose your advantage in Mahjong. How quickly the things might turn around if you start playing like a monkey. Okay, thank you very much. See you next time, hopefully in a more interesting games to analyze. This was Crabman. Bye, yo.